in Shadowblade is nuts! It's crazy! So this is Fiora, Garen, Targon. Huh. Interesting. I mean, Archer and Trapper are great here, and I actually kind of like keeping one flash freeze. I don't think I like both Trappers, though. I don't know, do I? I kind of do like both Trappers. Nah, I can't go for both Trappers here. Against, like, a mono-style Demacia decks, like, if he's running Fiora Garen, he's gonna be able to kill the Yetis really easily. Like, his whole deck is like, he just reposts and the Yeti dies, or he Pale Cascades his Garen and the Yeti dies. So, like, the second 5/5 Yeti that comes out a couple turns too late is really not doing a lot in this matchup. So, keeping one Trapper is good. Keeping the second Trapper starts to fall off a lot. It's important to realize, like, Trapper is such a good card, but the diminishing returns on multiple Trappers is really, really high. Oh, and please play something that dies to the Challenger Porobot here. That'd be so trolly. Imagine just playing, like, I don't even know. Maybe he's running, like, Battlesmith or something, and he thinks he's safe. That'd be really funny. Okay, Priestess. Interesting. I don't normally expect Garen, Fiora, Splash, Targon to be running Priestess. Huh. Okay. That's weird. What the hell is he running? I mean, I can try to open pass. I really don't want my Braum to get, like, commented. Although, if he's gonna comment my Braum, am I honestly just fine with that? We have the quick attack keyword here. I mean, if I open pass, I can basically stop the Braum from getting commented. Most decks in his position have, like, no additional way to play this. Like, he can't really bank this mana. So if he did get the comment off the Priestess, the fact that we open past there allows us to ensure the Braum at least gets the Mighty Poro before the inevitability of the comment comes through. So the pass there is good. Like, his deck can't pass back and punish us for that, which is really important. I mean, he's got 1 mana, so he can't really protect the Fiora from Mystic, so I guess my 3/3 has an attack here. Are we doing this deck building thing or what? I was gonna. Okay, maybe we'll do it. I don't know. They said play this deck until I lose. I'll play this deck until I lose. Do a deck doctor on this deck? I definitely could. Like, I do actually, I can improve this a bit. I've already taken out the Howling Abyss, and I think that's a very easy decision to make. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of harder things that I'm not sure exactly what the right answer is. Yeah, I guess I just troll chant this. I don't want to let him, like, pale for free here. So there's a consideration if you want to greed Braum's level up to, like, let the Fiora keep the 5 attack, but obviously that just means pale forces flash, and I don't want that. Or maybe not even pale, like, it could be sharp side or something, right? Ooh, repost. So he's playing a double trick here? Okay. I mean, I'm pretty fine with that. Like, that's a perfectly good use of a flash freeze if he's gonna commit a double trick there. It's like, my Braum doesn't get level up progress now, but that's a silly thing to complain about after that exchange. So it could play Porobot for Overwhelm this turn. I think Overwhelm is pretty garbage here, so I think I'll just play the Yeti and chill. And we drew another Troll Chant, which is pretty funny because it actually lets Braum kind of get more in. Porobot's got Challenger this time, which on this one too is actually pretty nice. Yeah, I guess I am playing this here. I'll probably play the Iceveil Archer too. I'll probably just develop wide. So a lot of turns like this, that deck can play like Garen. I don't really know what deck I'm against here, by the way. I have no idea what he's playing. Okay, Goat. Goat's a little annoying because, like, I wanted to drag whatever he played with my Braum, because, like, Porobot goes into this and this goes into that, but Goat obviously is not a good Braum drag because it just gems for free. I might have to Mystic Shot that one. I could Iceveil the Fiora first. I think I'll just Mystic Shot this. That's a grappler deck. Interesting. What's it? I mean, what's it running? Is it? I don't get the deck. It's just like a value deck. President asked to give him an estimate on the deck building since he's doing other things. Oh, I really have no idea. Yeah, I'll just ice fill the Fiora and try to put some pressure on. I mean, I think this just makes the most sense. Take him down to 3 health is pretty funny here. You're running out of cards? Yeah, we're kind of the aggro deck at this point. Like, we kind of need to just threaten to kill him next turn. Judgment? Yeah, we'll have to play around Judgment here. Garen. So, I mean, I'd like to play an Icefield Archer here. I think it's really worth it here. I mean, I guess I can Troll Chant. I mean, he can't let the Garen die, so he'll have to commit something first, I think. Could also just be happy taking that 5 damage there. I guess that's just better. It's just a little bit safer. Because he could have like some bizarre nonsense here, I guess. I'm more afraid of Judgment than anything else, so I kind of want to develop into him. That's a funny draw. I guess I'm not really afraid of anything, actually. Huh. Okay. Cool. That's neat. Oh, he doesn't even have Judgment. That's sad. I said I would play this deck until I lost in ranked, but I just can't seem to lose. Like, this was supposed to be a deck building stream, but we just keep winning. Overall, in terms of changing this deck, I mean, it's pretty good. Like, it's already fairly well built. Like I said, the Howling Abyss was really troll and just truly made, I think, no sense, but apart from that, there's nothing that immediately screams out to me as, like, bad. There's a few things that might be slightly suboptimal. I mean, I kind of like the ratio in Cure. I like a lot of these 2-ofs. Like, 2-ofs are really, really important to know, like, when to use. And stuff like Avaros and Sentry, I think is, like, this card is a terrifying 3-of. When you're playing a proactive deck and you 3-of Sentry, that is fucking scary. Like, you will lose games to double drawing Sentry and the opponent just not killing them. It's very similar to Sentry's position in, like, Ash Nox, for example. And Avaros and Trapper, it's a bit of a meta call, whether it's a 2-of or a 3-of. Depends how much fearsomes we're seeing, but I'm pretty happy with it being a 2-of. Refund the points, it's not garbage. I mean, honestly, this deck just, it just slaps. Alright. Double Faces hand. Alright. I think this is it, guys. I think this is gonna be a much harder game. Oh, I mean, Faces is kind of nice for a matchup like this, but I'm never gonna be able to stick it. Patch Porobot can actually sometimes lay on some pressure, and we're attacking on evens. I'll keep the Porobot. If it was like, if Porobot was a different stat line, like, so he's running a deck with a lot of spells and control elements, right? Like, in this kind of deck, I wouldn't keep it like a 2-mana 3/2, but Porobot's got the stat line we want here. If he rolls something good, yeah, Overwhelm's cute, but not really good. I think I'd rather play Sentry, honestly. At least if Sentry dies, I get to draw. Wah. Patched Porobot is really funny, but it's gonna be kind of like Victor, where it's like hilarious, but then you get a keyword that does nothing sometimes, and that kind of blows. Did you take down video on YouTube? It's private. Yeah, I mean, the reveals today is not a video. That we already had those reveals yesterday. There's no new reveals today. Give It All. Yeah, Give It All is a sick draw here. So I guess we can just play Ezreal out now. I mean, in theory, this should be a hard matchup. In theory, this should be the one that we lose, right? Like, come on. How would this not be the one that we lose? I mean, sometimes he plays Trundle and just like tries to block, and then like rising. Oh! Yo, holy shit. It's happening, boys. This is so free. Oh my god. Hang on, I have to show a little hesitation. I have to play it a little bit. I can't be too obvious about it. Wait, this card's crazy. Wait a second. This card's nuts. Wait, he can't win against this. Dude, Rising Spellforce is actually such a good card. It's literally insane. Trundle down. And it's like popping off our Tri-Beam too. Rising Spellforce is so underrated. It needs to be in the right deck. God, I might just Tri-Beam that. I do need to play for tempo. Like, I need to start threatening some annoying stuff. And this is like, I don't really have more threes in this hand. It's not really going to get much bigger than this. He could have Troll Chant here and keep it alive. Get Solitary Monk? Oh no. Dude, Tri-Beam is such a trolly card. Ooh, that's a pretty decent one, honestly. Is it? It kind of kills itself after 2 turns, and I don't really need the elusive keyword here. I mean, it's better than Solitary Monk. This card looks good because you read the numbers and it's like a 3-5, and then you realize it's actually kind of like a 3-1, really. Like, it's gonna get 1 attack and then it's gonna die. And the elusive keyword is funny until you realize that on this kind of board state, it does literally nothing. Homie's down to 5. It's not really a good harsh wins for him. So what we need to do is we need him to tap under Ruination next turn and then give it all into open attack on the turn after that. That's what we have to do. How do we win this game? I think we lost. This is going to be really hard to win, guys. I hate Ezreal in this deck. It's like this deck is winning off of just being like a value plus like give it all deck. Ezreal is so rarely part of our win con here, and we have no counterplay to that. Homie's at 15. Uh-oh, guys. I think this is it. I think this is the game we're losing. Harsh wins. So normally when you're playing against like Shadow Isles Freljord, you have to weigh like open attacking versus developing. Like open attacking plays into harsh wins and developing plays into Ruination. In a position like that though, the nice thing is, man, I actually might have to Archer now. The nice thing about that position is that we can open attack because we're not very vulnerable to harsh wins because we have like 4 units that all have fairly low attack, right? Now, of course, that's where, you know, Grass plus Vile Feast is the hardest. But, I mean, we can't really play around that. Avalanche? I mean, we can't really play around anything right now. We're screwed to most things. We have to basically hope he spends all his mana and then we rise and give it all. And that's our chance. We're not beating almost anything here, guys. How does he even spend all his mana here? If he had 12 and he could like feel the rush or something, he should just open Ice Pillar. He drops a Tryndamere. Yeah, dropping Tryndamere would work, but he can still like freeze what we try to force. Alpha. Oh, Jesus. No, Christ. I mean, do I just go for it? Just, like, no Whale, no Vile. Flash Freeze doesn't mess us up that bad. I mean, everything counters this. I like, what if I can save it until after the Feel the Rush, though? Is that possible? That I could save it until after the Feel the Rush? I don't think so. Don't use the quick attack. This is such a useless card if I don't use the quick attack. It gives everything like elusive 3/3. I guess that's adorable. How are we winning this game? I actually like, I don't really see it. So I think we have to open with Give It All. If he's got like, for example, a second Vile Feast, it's important to use the Force on the one that doesn't get Vile Feasted. If he's not playing anything on this, then I'm actually okay with it. And I don't think we can actually counter with Feel the Rush. So I don't like pre-committing the Rising Spellforce here. I don't think this is the right line. What would you have done? You just pre-commit shove all in, or you use what, Feel the Rush first? Quick attack on Porobot. So quick attack on Porobot doesn't really make sense, because if he's got like a whale or a vial to kill one of these units on the stack, then I think we lose anyway. I think we're never getting lethal there if that happens. Down to 8. But yeah, I think we might just have to go all in with Spellforce on like one of the 3 ones first. I could see that. We still have lethal to a decent amount of stuff. Trapper is interesting. Hope for no Ruination. I mean, honestly, hoping for no Ruination is a decent line. Like, if he uses... So, I open attack, he feels the rush. I feel the rush in response. He open attacks, we harsh wins, and then we can open attack and beat Ruination. And I think that's a pretty big deal. I think I can actually beat Hands of Ruination if he doesn't have a lot of other things. I think I just open attack here and slow play it. And it's the harsh wins that allows me to try to do this. Lethal with Spellforce? No. I'm not Spellforcing here. The thing is, he'll always have something to play here. He can never let himself get to 3 health because he doesn't know we don't have like over-the-top damage from hand. So he has to play something first. And then if we want to, we can Spellforce in response. But I think it's more likely that I'll want to Feel the Rush. I'm pretty happy with that open attack there. Like, between Feel the Rush and Harsh Winds, I can actually take this to a 2-turn clock. I can slow play this spot, right? Like, there's nothing that really forces me... Again, it's all about clock. It's all about whether we're trying to kill him this turn or trying to survive next turn. And because we have Harsh Winds and Feel the Rush, normally in a situation where everything else is saying, let's try to kill him this turn, these 2 cards are screaming, we can actually maybe survive one more turn and we don't have to all in against crazy stuff. So like, yeah, Tryndamere is not really that big of a threat here. Like, I can Feel the Rush. And the thing to understand is it's actually very hard for him to Ruination this, right? Like, his Ruination is still not bad here because he can kill our 2 big boys and his Tryndamere levels up instead of dying. But from his perspective, it's really risky to do because he would tap out entirely and be at 7 health, right? And we'd have like full mana. So it's like he could Ruination and that would actually fuck us, but because of our hand, he has a really hard time thinking that's the correct play. Right? And that's the most important thing about like just having the card game mentality, which is like knowing what he can do and knowing what he can't. Because like, you have to keep in mind, he doesn't know what our hand is, right? So I don't really mind that. We actually have pretty decent ways of keeping this alive. I mean, he could Ruinate if I play anything. I don't think... Is there a big reason for me to play Kindly Tavern Keeper first? Well, I actually don't think there's a large one. The scary thing here is like Atrocity, which we have to be aware of because even on his defense turn, he can Atrocity here.
Nothing escapes my watch.
Is he actually setting up a Ruination? That would be super weird. If he was, he... If anything, would play Sentry before Ice Pillar. The Sentry play is kind of like, sort of, might indicate that he's just wanting to Ruinate here and he wants to try to bait an action out of me. Feel the Rush was a mistake. Should have just played the Trapper previous turn. Really? I'm very happy with that Feel the Rush. I mean, I'm not going to get a better opportunity to play it. I know I'm always going to need to use my mana to survive on the defensive turn. And to be able to play around Ruinate winning him the game, I need to be able to not Feel the Rush on the final turn where we're trying to kill him, right? Which is really important. And I mean, I think I'm just waiting longer. Like, I think he is fairly obviously on a Ruination at this point. I don't know. That was a weird attack. I don't really get that. That attack could literally only make sense if he's about to Ruinate. And just by like kind of playing how we are, we have decent odds at, you know, first of all, we made the Ruination really bad for him. We made sure that a lot of hands couldn't Ruinate us. It's very weird that he apparently is trying to ruinate us here. But either way, like, I mean, we have the ability to win past Ruination now. It's not going to be great. But, like, see how we played this game. See, what was really important there was, like, if you remember, it was a couple turns ago where I said, okay, if he has a Ruination, I feel the rush this turn. He, like, has the attack. We've got the harsh winds. We've got the open attack. And then we can beat him with Ruination after. And we play it all out in our head and we say, oh, wow, we can actually beat Hands of Ruination. So it's actually worth playing around it, right? If we don't have the ability to beat Hands of Ruination, then of course we don't play around it. So now we've got, you know, a very good open attack. This guy's got Overwhelm. I guess Braum can drag this. Does that matter? I don't see why I would drag that. Do I just drag Tryndamere? Sure. Whatever. So he'll have to use like a harsh winds to try to stay alive here. There's a good chance he doesn't die here, by the way. Like, he can easily not die here. Right now he's thinking about either Atrocity Face and YOLOing or harsh winds to stay alive. He would harsh winds, like he'd start it on like the Ezreal or something. We'd Rising Spell Force. The thing is, Rising Spell Force here kind of deals 6 damage because the harsh winds would stop 13 damage, right? He'd be alive at 1 health. And then Rising Spell Force on the Ezreal would deal the 4 and give us the Ezreal's Mystic Shot. So he's doing the Harsh Winds equivalent, which is Freeze plus Catalyst. And here we have to Rising Spell Force this. And that should kill him. Like, if he had another Freeze, he would have played it. He obviously doesn't have another Catalyst. Oh, sorry, second Catalyst doesn't even keep him alive there. And, yeah, he obviously doesn't have Harsh Winds. And even Harsh Winds wouldn't keep him alive there. So that's the most important thing about playing the game, which is just, you know, making sure we're thinking about the future, thinking about clock, thinking about, you know, can we play around this? And like, we can really beat Hands of Ruination. Like, I don't know if he had Ruination in that hand, but it doesn't matter because we forced a situation where Ruination doesn't do that much against us. 100% win rate. We're literally 6-0 with this deck. Refund the deck points. We just can't lose. I will say, if you've been watching the way these games are actually playing out, like, you will be able to notice Ezreal's not doing a ton here. Like, obviously Ezreal's elusive, and that's really annoying. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ezreal's a definite cut either, but he's certainly not essential to the idea of the deck. And same with voices. Or sorry, faces of the old ones. Faces kind of has to be trolly. Rising Spell Force is the MVP. Yeah, Rising Spell Force is great. I think that's super underrated. Could use Vi instead of Ezreal. I suspect this concept would be better if we used Vi instead of Ezreal. Some people have suggested Teemo instead of Ezreal, which, like, honestly, Ezreal is kind of a Teemo in a lot of ways, but the fact that Teemo has 1 health and Ezreal has 3, honestly, in this meta, that's enough of a reason to pay 2 extra mana. Like, it's so sad, but 1 health units are just terrible. Just straight up awful. Zed Lee Sin. Alright. Against Zed Lee Sin, well, we're attacking odds here. So we've got Trapper, Tavern Keeper, and Porobot. I mean, he doesn't really put a ton of pressure on early, so we don't need Tavern Keeper. And we already know we're going to play Trapper on 3. Porobot, I think, is fine early option. Nothing really fancy to do with this mulligan here. Keep the 2-drop, keep the 3-drop. It's not aggro, so we don't need Tavern. Is this 6-1 time? It might be. We draw Tri-Beam. So that deck usually skips turn 2. Porobot with regen here. If we want Rising Spell Force on Trapper, then we can't play Porobot here for the spell mana, but I think we never do that. A lot of hands like pass here floating a goat, and if I play Porobot and he plays goat, then it's a forced trade, which feels kind of bad. But getting the goat off of his board, because I've got Trapper, which is very vulnerable to goat, I think is kind of perfectly fine. So again, we're thinking ahead. We're like, okay, Goat's a pretty good card for him. Therefore, in this kind of game, because we've got Trapper in hand, which is a 3/3, Goat's a great card for him. Because we also don't have like Troll Chance or any easy way. Rising Spell Force is way too much of an overcommitment to be able to like beat down that Goat. And now I think I can play Trapper before attacking here. So we have to think like, how could he punish this? We're gonna tap under the ability to play Tricks, which is kind of awkward. But I think it's a little bit worth it playing here. Palm. Yeah, Palm's a little annoying, but I mean, forcing the Palm out on turn 3 here is absolutely worth it. So now this is a bit annoying because he could easily have like a Pale Cascade. So if I attack with the Porobot and he Pale Cascades, that's a big problem. We also have to note that Pale Cascade is increasing in his hand range right now. So if we're trying to read his hands, like we know how Zed Lee Sin is built, and we know that if he had an Eye of the Dragon or a Mountain Goat, he would have played both of those. So like those cards get deleted from his hand range, which boosts the odds of something like Pale Cascade. And especially like if Zed's the threat, we really can't give up our Porobot for free. So we can't let him get a Pale Cascade into the Porobot. You also have to keep in mind, like, even though we have no real good counters to that, depending on whether we're attacking or defending, we can't really answer Pale Cascade because we don't have a Troll Chant. But the thing is, he doesn't know that. So as long as we force the Pale Cascade into a turn where we have mana for a re-response, that's good for us overall, right? And that's really, really important to keep in mind. Enraged Yeti kind of suck here. This is so sad. This is actually so sad. Our hand is trash right now. This is the exact kind of hand where we need something other than this. Static Shock would definitely feel a lot better than Improbulator right now. It still gets countered by a lot of things, but it's at least something we can try to go for. And Enraged Yeti just does dick all against this board because his Zed's going to be a really scary attacker. I think the safest play is to actually just Sentry and try to slow play it. We could try to Tri-Beam the Zed, but then we're losing to a lot. We're wasting our Tri-Beam when it gets powered up pretty soon in his hands. And also, we're just, yeah, we're wasting, like, again, it's fairly likely he has stuff like Pales, ways to protect the Zed. Like, it's just so risky to try to move in to kill it. We could Tri-Beam the Mentor, which kills it through something like Pale, but then we're not even forcing the Pale, and he's just got the gems anyway, so it's not really doing much. Yeah, overall, we're not really in a great position. I guess I can block with the Porobot instead. Sure. Now, if he's got that Pale, if he wants to, he could trade it for the Porobot. I am beginner of this game. I like control deck. What should I play? So I think a deck that I would really recommend right now would be a good version of like Ezreal Draven. So there's the one on my site, which is like, there's a couple of cards difference you can run, but this is the one I would recommend. Ezreal Draven. There's a lot of like different control-y kinds of decks out there, and a lot of people will argue Ezreal Draven isn't really a control deck. The definitions get a little bit muddled, but it's a great deck to start trying to learn now because it's actually getting buffed in the next expansion. Also, Shadow Isles Freljord has a lot of good control concepts. To be honest, if you're a control player, you're in luck right now because control's fucking everywhere in Runeterra. Literally, like, every good deck is like, I mean, it's kind of debatable about whether we call something like TF Gohard a control deck. I really wouldn't call it a control deck, but it has heavy control elements. Like like right now we're in a point in the meta where like every deck has very heavy control elements. So this is kind of interesting. I could open attack with all and threaten double spell force, like spell force into Hush into a second spell force. And I think that's honestly our best bet. We actually need to power up this Improbulator fast because we have to play it soon. We have a second spell force to be able to try to beat stuff like Hush. And Braum is unfortunately really bad to play here because it means we can't play our second spell force, which is really bad. We could also have tried just straight going face there as well. I don't know if we have enough over the top damage in this hands, but it was definitely a consideration that trying to spell force the side units makes more sense. We're still losing to stuff like, I don't like it here. If we had better, like, kill cards in our hands, maybe, but between Improbulator, Braum, and Give It All, we don't really have that. And the same cards that counter this, like Hush, you know, even Guiding Touch at that point, it's so easy for him to push himself out of lethal range. This felt really good. We kill the Zed in a nice non-committal way, and if we want to, we can even play the Braum here. Yeah, and that's pretty expected. That's kind of the only reason he would ever let the Zed die there. I don't think there's really a downside in playing Braum here, because I can't really Give It All yet. Anyway. And this is where, like, I will point out, something that would be really nice in this deck is just, like, a couple of very cheap tokens so that we can Give It All really early. Like, I want the ability to Give It All on, like, turn 5 or 6. Don't get me wrong, in this matchup, I probably wouldn't do that anyway because he has Deny, and that just giving him that chance at a blowout is really bad. But that will happen in a lot of matchups regardless. Yikes. I mean, again, we have to be thinking about the game in terms of clock. We have to be thinking, okay, are we slow playing? Are we trying to go 2 turns later? Slow playing, that's kind of how I would define it in this game. It's just like when you're thinking about your lethal turn, it's about whether you're doing it this turn or next turn. And yeah, slow playing would just be not trying to kill next turn and trying to like survive one extra turn. And I think that's what we're doing here. So like, even though the board looks like it's in a position where we maybe could threaten lethal next turn, we have to assume that like, so his hand range would almost always block that. And our hand range would almost always not be able to re-up on that, if that makes sense, right? Like, if we try to lethal with Give It All, there's a good chance he denies it. If we try to lethal with like Open Attack Spell Force, even like Guiding Touch or Hush keeps that out of range. Yikes. Well, that's broken. Well, he... Where? Wait, like... I can't beat that. I don't know, dude. What am I supposed to do here? So makes a huge effort to commentate all his streams. New to your stream, but really liking the commentary and explanations. So I'll say, like, for those of you guys who have watched my stream in the last few months, I've been actually like pretty depressed and very like low energy and not really able to commentate or create like meaningful insights. And I'm very much feeling a lot better right now. I'm back to kind of like old Swim, like good Swim, where I'm actually like, you know, providing like a valuable service instead of just being a fucking slug. We're fucked. Like, how do we win, honestly? What do we do here? I guess I just play Ezreal and try to... I don't know. I mean, yeah, we're pretty fucked. I mean... Braum is basically just going on a suicide mission. Ooh. So Goat's interesting. The one nice thing about this position is we're kind of forking the deny. We have both Field Rush and Give It All. And between one of those getting off, we're actually kind of good enough to not mind. He'll have to play 2 spells to give Lee Barrier. I could attack with the Trapper and then bait Spellforce. Also, 2 spells levels up the Lee as well in addition to giving him Barrier. I could literally just Tri-Beam the Goat and just try to go in right now. I think I have to. It's like, it's a forced play. And of course, again, if he denies this, then he's just giving us an option to do these later anyway. So, deny is scary here, and a lot of good hands would use deny here. And there's not a ton we can do about that. But, like, if he has deny, he probably actually has to use it right now. Bastion. Interesting. So he's letting us get the random unit off of Tri-Beam, and he's tapping out? That's a little scary for him. Because this random unit, Don't gem. Don't gem. Oh, he didn't gem! This fucking Ren Shadowblade is nuts! It's crazy! It's so crazy. If I don't attack with the Porobot, it could kind of indicate that I'm trying to Rising Spell Force. I have to full attack here. Wait a second. Did he just lose? He didn't gem there, so his Lee Sin doesn't level up, and it doesn't get Barrier. So if he blocks the Porobot, I kill him. If he blocks anything other than the Porobot, well, I can either kill him or the Lee Sin there. So yeah, I mean, I just go face here. We're not losing to anything. That's nice. Good old Ren Shadowblade. Yeah, that's the thing with that Bastion there. Like, that Bastion is kind of crazy. I think if he had deny, again, he had to have used it there. 7-0. We're going to be here for a while. Yeah, I just can't stop winning with this deck. Lose to health potion. I'd play around it if it was something that deck actually ran. And of course, there's always this minor chance of, like, him slotting it in randomly, but it's not worth playing around things that are very unlikely to be in deck. I mean, we actually just can't stop winning with this deck. It's just truly an unfair deck. Like, keep in mind, the reason we've won 7 in a row is because we're drawing a disproportional amount of Rising Spell Forces. It's literally a 2 of. And these games are definitely making me want to make it a 3F. Alright, we're against Go Hard. This is like the air quotes best deck in the meta right now. Just Go Hard TF. Is keeping Mystic Shot do enough against that deck right now? I don't know. What does Mystic Shot do against that deck? Let's go ahead and check. It's always a good idea if you're trying to climb, just like making sure that we're always looking at the opponent's list and having it pulled up, right? Because like you can kill TF with it. I honestly don't think that's enough here. I have a few ways to kill TF, and I've got Ezreal. I don't know. That might have been trolly. I might have needed to keep Mystic Shot there. But the thing is that the way this deck is able to beat that one is usually by aggression. Like, ooh. I think this might be it, guys. This might be the end to our win streak. This might be it. Oh, well. Man, this is kind of suck. You said that last game too. I know, but this time I truly mean it though. It's different. It's different this time. I guess I play Ezreal first here.
I thought you'd never ask.
Again, it's always like, especially when you just kind of can't remember what's in their deck. Literally, and I've said this before, but my number one tip if you want to climb is just like make sure you load up the opponent's deck in every game. And like most things are net decks. But you can also just go to Mobalytics and you can go to, you know, the meta stats, find the most popular deck that are running their champions. Even if you haven't seen it before, you can find the most popular deck. Literally do this all before the mulligan. And just like having that advantage of just like being able to make sure we're not forgetting to play around anything is really big here, right? So like, for example, whether we open attack or play kindly first, you know, we're thinking, okay, ooh, Zap's in his deck. Well, that makes our, because we don't really have an answer to Zap, that feels a little bad. We could try beam for 2 damage after kindly. Oh god, I honestly might do that. I don't know, this actually feels really terrible. Our hand is bad. His hand is bad too, by the way, don't get me wrong. He's representing an extremely bad hand here. So there's the Zap as expected. But also keep in mind, this is how hand ranges work in like card games. Like this is gonna be true in every card game, like poker. But like when the opponent's playing weird, when they don't have a lot of options, like he hasn't played a lot of things he would play if he had them. So that means anything he hasn't shown yet has boosted odds, right? So we have to extra play around those. I actually can't stress enough how important this is. Like, when we look at how he's played this match, he doesn't have Elise, he doesn't have Butcher, or he doesn't have more Butchers. He doesn't have Dreadway, he doesn't have Croaker, he doesn't have Pool Shark, he probably doesn't have Go Hard, and he might not have like, even Twisted Fate. There's an argument that maybe he would have played Twisted Fate there or something. Like, he doesn't have a lot of things, and when we can rule out that many things from his hand range, the odds of the additional things being in his hand get boosted like a shit ton. When we eliminate that much, everything else gets literally like double odds. So we really have to be playing around those, right? Yeah, like exactly. Hands like double Zap that are normally very niche become like actual things that are almost probable at that point. Yeah, and we don't really have a block here. I don't know. I can block it. Yeah. I don't know. It feels bad. I feel sad. It's like this Tri-Beam. The Tri-Beam might be just too slow with this deck, especially with hands like this. I think, like, don't get me wrong, I don't really regret, because keep in mind we cut the progress day for the Tri-Beam, and I don't think that's a downgrade. But I would have rather I would have rather had like, yeah, maybe static here instead, something like that. All right, unfortunately. How close to give it all are we? What if we just give it all these 3 units right now? Like, he doesn't really have an answer to that except for Ruination. If I give it all and force Ruination, and then 2 turns from now I feel the rush, I think I can win off of that. So, yeah, I think I like give it all here. Again, we look at the deck and we're like, what could he have? Well, he could Vengeance. If he Vengeances the Braum right now, well, yeah, that's actually pretty bad. That's a big counter. You know, we can beat Ruination because if he Ruinates after this, then we can feel the rest 2 turns from now and he won't have the second Ruination. But Vengeance really fucks us. If he just Vengeances the Braum, he cucks our give it all really badly. And I honestly, I think that's enough to make me not want to do it. That's definitely enough. I think I can probably either open attack or play Trapper into this attack. I think I'm fairly happy playing Trapper here. Still not a good Ruination for him. So again, we're just making sure we're playing around stuff. Because again, these cards have boosted odds. And while Ruination we play the next few rounds against we're totally fine for, Vengeance we're super not. Alright, so whoever rated or hosted me, I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, my alerts are... Oh, Hoogland. Yo, what's up, Hoogland? Did you guys know it's actually pronounced like Hoogland? Hogland? It's not Hoogland. I didn't know that. Okay, so we can Tri-Beam honestly before this attack. He did just tap under Ruination, which allows us to like commit even extra here. Long O. Hoogland. Yeah, it's Hoogland. I think I'm pretty happy with this. We still have the Mystic Shot afterwards. So we have to think like what counters this. And again, we look to the deck. He's under Ruination mana. This play doesn't get countered by Vengeance, unlike the other one. Glimpse doesn't counter this, right? Because Tri-Beam isn't a contingent clause. Yeah, it's like 2 independent effects, so... Jesus Christ. What the hell? It's definitely not Hogland. Alright, sure. You may go hard me. So we kind of low rolled on this Tri-Beam a bit. It's not like the worst thing ever, but yeah, it's not good. And we've got just a very clean attack here. So he could maybe incentivize us to Toll Champ, but really, you know, we'll Mystic after this. Looks pretty happy. Better than Monk at least? It's better than Solitary Monk. That much is true. But yeah, overall, I think the way this deck is currently built, and don't get me wrong, you know, with problem solving, it's always about finding the best conclusion and not about finding like a working conclusion. Because we could conclude Tri-Beam is wrong in this deck, but there's nothing that makes that a logical conclusion more so than, for example, you know, the rest of the deck should be more so accepting of Tri-Beam. I can say right now in this current builds, Tri-Beam doesn't really fit it. So now we can Mystic Shot either Keg or Jagged Butcher. I kind of want to Mystic Shot the Keg because I kind of don't want my Ezreal to die to second Go Hard. Don't Mystic. Well, so what are we playing around by not Mysticking? The thing is, you know, Go Hard is at slow speed, and obviously Glimpse is a little annoying there. His odds of having Glimpse are a little low. There's a good chance he would have used it before, but also I still have to use it there, right? Like even if he has Glimpse, it's not that big of a punish really. Like the risk reward just favors, you know, going in there. And now when I have a bigger board, my Give It All is less countered by Vengeance, although more countered by Ruination, and we have to be aware of that. All right, this Gangplank attack is actually kind of annoying. I kind of want a full board because I actually do want to Give It All. Maybe that's enough of an argument to not Mystic. Maybe I literally just needed to make sure I could Give It All on a turn where he was guaranteed tapped under Ruination. Yeah, maybe Mysticking was a misplay. Because, like, if I Give It All into Ruination now, it's no longer good. Actually, he's blowing up a lot of his own board next turn. Yeah, maybe I can just Give It All next turn. Maybe that's fine. I kind of have to value my Nexus health as a resource here. I might actually, like, Braum block with Troll Chance on the Gangplank. I actually am really scared of letting my Nexus health go that low. Am I? What's he really gonna do? What's he really gonna do though? Like, think about it, honestly. 12. Yeah, we're fine. Poro gives full board. Yeah, I mean, we don't have the Poro coming from Braum. We already got it before. I can pass. This is okay. Why not Troll Chant? So again, it's the risk reward. It's like saving the 5 health. I think at this point, like, the thing to understand about this game and the way it's playing out is that he's not really on the path for the Go Hard game plan. He's only used one Go Hard, and he used it slow. So the odds of him actually getting Pack Your Bags early are definitely going to be a little lower here. But also, I think it's more important to try to make sure, like, for example, if my Troll Chant can keep the Ezreal alive and outside of range and then set up for the Give It All after, I think that's really important. So if I have bank maximum mana, I'm getting 8+3, which gives me the ability to Give It All and then get Ruinated. I think at this point, even though Ruination is fairly likely, I think I'm pretty committed for it and have to hope that's just how we win. It's like, or sorry, I have to hope that if he has Ruination, then we can just win after that just fine. Which I feel fairly comfortable doing. I could also do like a burst pass with Troll Chant to see if he taps under Ruination before we Give It All. But that's like even worse if he does Ruinate. I think at this point, because his board is developed enough and because we still, like, his next couple of plays aren't that scary. We've got Ice Veil and then we've got Field Rush 2 turns from now. I think I'm pretty happy if he Ruinates, just because he's got a big board that would at least make it a bit awkward for him. I think he's got Whale, and yeah, that's part of what Troll Chant could be used for here. We can see like Whale is a 2 of in the more common net deck. Some versions run it as more. So something on the stack is either Vengeance on Braum or Whale here, or Yeah, pretty much. So he decided to Ruinate instead. The only situation where he'd consider an option and then not take it is if he has Ruination, so he'll do it here. Which again is fine, because we're not dying next turn, and we've got Field of Rush that suddenly is online here. Which is the call I'm making. I'm making the call that I'm not too worried about Ruination, but it's very possible what we should have done instead was... I don't even know what we could have done instead. We could have like blocked the Gangplank with the Braum and then... Like, there's kind of... We're not putting any pressure on him if we don't give it all there, right? Which is really, really awkward. Okay. So I've got a pretty nice Icefield Archer here. The only problem is if he has like the Ruination Vengeance hand, which is a really common hand for him to have, then, you know, Field of Rush is just going to get... Like, half of it's going to die to the Vengeance, which is very, very sad here. Because that's something we don't really have an answer for at all. Why not Field of Rush? Yeah, it might have been forced there. Yeah, Field of Rush plus Yeti. Because, like, it keeps us... The thing is, it keeps mana that we're not going to need as much next turn, but... Yeah, no, that was a very dumb play on my part. I think there's basically no reason to not Field of Rush there. 100%. Like, there's just no upside to it. I don't know if we end up winning this game off that, but yeah, definitely just a bad misplay for no reason. Field of Rush would have won probably. Okay, if you guys think Field of Rush would have won probably, you guys are not respecting this guy's hand range. Literally one go hard wins him the game. Literally a second Vengeance wins him the game. First Vengeance or second Ruination. Don't get me wrong, it's a big misplay, but that's not like a, oh, we would have won the game for sure. Atrocity. Deck doesn't usually run Atrocity, but yeah, even that wins him here. And we're not deck building here. It looks like you're having fun. Man, yeah, I think like... I don't know, I wanted to deck build. I think I still will today, but it might be more later than I thought. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I've always found it's incredibly hard for me to like schedule things properly because I'm very kind of mood based. Like, yeah, and the Zap just drew the last go hard, so I mean we're just dead here anyway. There's no playing around that really. Oh well. Okay. I mean I'm sure you're good, buddy. And like even if we top deck Kindly Tavern Keeper, it's one action too slow to be able to survive here. Oh well. So our win streak comes to the end here. I know your personality type, it's INTP. That's something like that. I don't know. Didn't Myers-Briggs is like really heavily debunked at this point in time? Isn't it just like a meme? In the year of our Lord 2020.
I'm always up for a round or two.
Oh my god. Does he actually not have it yet?
Soak it in.
Am I just getting trolled? I mean, I'm not beating it. Like even if he somehow doesn't have it yet, like his hand is still full of draw cards here. I still have to take those tests for jobs. That's pretty funny. I think there's some personality tests that are a bit more accurate than Myers-Briggs. So what are we doing here? I mean, I guess I can give it all, because if he doesn't have it, then we can try to win. He just vengeances Ezreal. I need him to draw another card and try to get it so that we're under vengeance. So I need him to play another draw card and then miss go hard again, and then we can give it all. But again, I mean, if he has it, he has it. Interesting. And the sad thing is, like, I mean, even if he has vengeance here, it doesn't really matter whether we're open attacking or swinging with give it all. Like, we're missing one unit on this board. Atrocity. It's very... I'm not going to play around it here unless it's free to play around. I don't know. I mean, I guess I just open attack and hope he doesn't have vengeance is literally the only play. But, yeah, it's pretty sad. Sometimes killing this... Can killing this ever, like, lose us the game? Ledros plus Doom Beast? I guess. We're always dying in 2 turns anyway if that happens. I don't know. I don't see how it could matter. It's like, he always has the Vengeance here. And there's not really a counter we can do to that right now. What's Ez level up at? Not nearly close enough to do anything. I can level up the Ezreal and deal a tiny bit of face damage. If we had like Overwhelm on this board, or a second Elusive, then I can like give it all there and beat Hands of Vengeance. But we don't have that. So we're dying to the very sad, like, super slow to draw the pack your bags hand. We still can't do anything about it. PP hands. Sag. I mean, it's still possible he won't draw it in the next, like, 7 draws. I guess. Yeah, I think the third give it all. I think it definitely, I'm happy keeping it as a 2 of. I need to figure out exactly what's good to run in that slot, though. Yeah, I mean, he'll never run out of draw. Homie's literally never running out of draw here. 3 HP, give it all. I mean, I could have used the Troll Chant first, but, I mean, my unit's HP does not matter in this matchup, right?
Okay. Go on then.
Watch the ball, folks.
Like, should have give it all before attacking. So what hands do we beat by giving it all before attacking? What does that help? Because it just makes us lose to the go hard hand, right? We're losing to Vengeance either way. Vengeance is the hand that beats both, because he Vengeances the Ezreal when we give it all, or he Vengeances the Ezreal when we attack. So by using give it all before attacking, we don't have Overwhelm. So the only hand, we don't beat any additional hands, and we only are letting us lose to hands that don't have Vengeance but just top deck to the last go hard, which is a little unlikely, but common enough hand that we beat by taking that exact line. So yeah, overall, we definitely should have used the pack your bags. We should have used the, we needed to use the Field of Rush to turn earlier. I don't think it would have mattered in that game, but it was a big misplay. You misplayed 2 or 3 times. So what were the other misplays? What do you think? The not block on Gangplank? That I think I probably agree with. I think not blocking Gangplank was probably a misplay. So is it just those 2? And then maybe the Mystic Shot? Yeah, I'm happy calling that a misplay. Okay, yeah, so 3 misplays. Absolutely. We might have been able to win that. I don't know. We definitely didn't have good odds, but if he doesn't draw, like, if it takes him that long to draw go hard and we don't make those 3 misplays, I think we do win. 100%. Terrible player, refund the deck. You would have made the overwhelming unit to win the game? I assume you're talking about doing... Should have blocked Gangplank to create overwhelming unit. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we definitely need to block Gangplank. Okay, so our streak comes to an end. I don't know, this would be fun to try to, like, optimize a deck like this. I mean, it's like, you know, the full deck doctor. When someone gives me a garbage deck activate that's like an intriguing concept that I think can get a lot better. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very fun to kind of sit down and try to do like a little deck doctor, make it a whole thing.